What's up guys, Learning with Rich here. In this video, I'm gonna show you how to align your model if ever it's not lining up with the other models. So let's say for example, you are using an IFC model and chances are this IFC model is not placed properly and it's not lining up with your Revizto model that was taken from Revit model. Okay, so how to align this model. All right, so let's do this. Let's say, for example, I'll just create a sample project here because I don't see any useful information in Revizto website or Revizto knowledge base. So that's why I thought of creating this video. So let's say, for example, I'm going to create here a wall. So this will going to be my architectural model. So I'll create a rectangular wall. So maybe I'm going to make that level 1. Height is level 1. And then I'll just create a rectangle. So just like that. Okay, so I'm going to save this as my architecture model. Okay, I'll just save it here on my document. So this is my architecture. Okay, right, and then after that I'm going to close this. So I'm going to create a new structural model. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to link the architecture model. Architecture, let me link that one. Oops. Okay. So let me go to south elevation. So there's my model. And then I'll change the discipline so I can see the architectural model. Okay, so there's my architectural model. Right. Okay, right. Let me just move it like align. Right, there you go. And then I'll just change the discipline here because currently it's structural. That's why it's not showing the architectural. So let's go to architectural and there you go. All right, so for my structural model, I'm just going to create here a structural floor. So let me select that one and then I'll just use a rectangular. So I'll just pick from here to here. Okay, and then I'll just select here, check to finish. There you go. So here's the 3D view of that model. So let me change again that to architectural so I can see the architectural model. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do here is I'm just going to deliberately move the floor. Okay, so it's not aligned anymore. And let's say I'm going to put an offset like 5,000. Okay, right, so it's not aligning with the architectural. So I'm going to remove, just for the sake of this exercise, I'll just remove that link model. Manage link, architecture, I'll just remove that. Always remove. Okay, okay, and there you go. And then I'll just save this as my structural. The reason why I'm doing this because I don't have any sample project, okay, that I can use. And I just want to make it very simple, okay? So I'll just save this, right? Okay, so just so you know, I already created here a sample Revizto project. So there's no 3D model here yet. So as you can see, I only have here 2D and then issue tracker. So there's no 3D because there's no 3D yet. So that's why I'm going to go back to my Revit. Okay, and then I'm going to export this to my Revizto. So let's go to Revizto and then select here publish to Revizto. Let's click that. All right, and then I'm going to link the model to an existing project. So let's click that one and then let's select here OK. And then I'll go to sample model and then I'll select OK. There you go. I'll just use here origin to origin, since I don't use any shared coordinates, but I just use the default here, origin to origin. Okay, I'll just select okay, publish. And then automatically Revizto will update. So as you can see, I now have here 3D, and it's opening the 3D. And there you go. So there's my model here. So there's my structure. So let me close the properties. Right, now let me go back again to Revit, and let's open up the architecture. Open up. Okay, so there's my architecture. So we need to change our view to 3D view. So that is what we want to do, so that Revizto will export the 3D view, not 2D. So always change your view to a 3D view. All right, now let's go to the architecture, publish to Revizto, and let's link the model to an existing project, and then let's select here OK. There's our sample project, select OK. Add as a new model, all right? Okay. I'll just use origin to origin, then publish. So this is my 2 simple model. So I don't want to use a very big project just for this exercise. So I can't see, so I'm just gonna zoom out. So as you can see, my model here is not lining up. So what I want to do is I want to have my structure model lining up with my architecture. Okay? So how to do that? If you are going to click from the object tree, by the way, if the object tree is not showing, make sure you click this icon here. Okay, so you click that, or you can press Control B. Control B to open up your object tree. Okay, so here's my architecture and structure. So I'm going to right click the architecture, and then you will see here, this is the transform scene. So this is the tool that we will be using. Okay, so if I click transform scene, so you can see here the transformation. So you are able to modify the coordinate system, the origin, XYZ, rotation, the pivot point, model origin, and then you can specify here the rotation as well as the scale. Okay, so I'm not going to touch the architecture because I want to move the structure to my architecture. Okay, so if I click the structure and right click that and then select transform scene, as you can see, here's the origin of my structure as well as the rotation. Okay, so I have the origin and rotation as well as the scale. Okay, so now, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to align first the bottom of this is architecture. I want to line up that to the top of this slab here. Okay, so for me to be able to do that, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to measure it first. Okay, so I'm going to measure it first, and I want you to take note of this X, Y, and Z here. X, Y, Z. So this direction now shows that it's positive X. So going to that direction. Okay, so if we are going to move our model to that direction, that's the positive direction. And then opposite of that one is negative. Same with Y. So for my Y, we want that slab to be aligning here. So it's going to this direction. So that is a negative direction, because positive is going to that direction. Okay, and then for the movement, so the up direction is positive and then opposite is negative. Okay, very simple. So that's why we're going to put a negative value of Z here and negative value of Y. Okay, so but before that, we need to measure it. So I want to measure. So to measure, look for this tool. So it's called ruler. So the shortcut is Control M. Okay, so I'm gonna select that one. Let me just close that. Okay, so we have how many options here? So we have 5 options. Okay, so I'm gonna use this tool here, point to point. So this is very useful. I really love this tool, point to point. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to double click this surface here to place the first point. There you go. So there's my first point. And then I'm going to double click the bottom here to place the second point. There you go. Okay. So now you see this node here. So I'm going to drag that. Maybe I can drag this to the bottom of this wall here or to the top of this one. Okay. So maybe I'll just drag it here, much easier. So I'm going to drag that and then put it there. There you go. So as you can see now, I can see that the measurement is 5 meters or 5,000. Okay. So if you want to make sure, so you can hold that. So as you can see, the plane is there on that surface. And then this one here. Oh, there you go. There you go. So it's now on that surface. So I now have the value of 5,000. Okay. So to do that, to modify our structure, so let me now escape this. Take note of the value, or you can just simply click this and Revizto will automatically copy that to the clipboard. Okay, so I now have 5,000. So that's negative, okay? Because the direction is going down, so that's negative. So you always refer to this direction here, so X, Y, Z. So those are the positive, 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 and then the opposite direction is negative. Since this is going down, so I'm going to put a negative value. So let me close this. I got the value of 5,000. So let me right-click, structure, and then transform the scene. And then let's look for origin X, Y, Z. Okay, so we type here minus 5,000. And then, okay. I know, right? So it's really tedious job, but this is the only way to do it. Okay? Or another way is you need to tell, for example, the structural steel guys that they need to line up their TECLA model. So you need to give them the project base point, the survey point, whatsoever that will be coming from the building execution plan. So there's the value, and make sure you tell them that this is the value that they need to input to their model so that it will line up when you link or when they export their TECLA model to Revizto. But since it's not happening, so you need to do it like this. So you need to do it manually. Okay? So if ever they are going to give you the IFC model, so this is how you do it. So you put it there and it's now line up. So we now need to line up this face here, this one, this face here to this face here. Okay? So again, we need to measure that. So let's measure that one. Ruler. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in here. Just double click the face. There you go. That's the first point. And then I'm going to double click this face here. Okay, so that's the second point. All right, and then you see this middle here. So it would be better or easier for me to drag that to this face here instead of dragging to that face there, because it's the surface there is too small. So I'll just put it here. So I'll just drag. There you go. Okay, so I now have the distance of 393. Okay, so 393 from this face here. That face there. So what is that? So that is X, right? So that's X. There you go. So that's the distance of X, or direction of the X. So going to that direction is positive, opposite here is negative. So what will happen is, so it will go here. Am I correct? Okay, so it will go to this side here, so that's positive. So that's positive 393. So let's close this one again. Let's right click the structure, transform. Let's look for X, so 393, and then okay. There you go. So it's now lining up. So last is we're going to line up this face here. We're going to align that to this face here. Right? So let's do that. So let's measure it. If only there's an align tool here, but there's no align tool. So let's click ruler. Okay, using this point to point. So let's double click this face. There you go. Double click this face. There you go. And I'm going to drag this to this face here. Do that. There you go. All right. So what's the distance? So the distance is 32937. So let me put that on my note. So 32937. Okay. So that is from this face here to this face here. So that's 3297. So what's the direction? Okay. So that's along y-axis. So going to that direction is positive. Now going to this direction is negative. So this one needs to go to this direction. So it's a negative value. Okay? Because it's going down here. So 32937. So let's close this. Okay, then let's right click, structure, transform scene, and let's put a negative value here. So minus 32937, and then okay. There you go. There you go. Nicely done. Right? Okay. So now going back to my structure model. Where's my structure? This one. So I don't need to put this anymore here. So this is now the correct location. So no need to move your structural model, because if you move this one, if you export this again to Revizto, so what will happen is it will not be lining up again on your architectural model. You already line it up here, right? So don't touch this location anymore. Okay, so you see, if I go to my, or let's say I'll just go to level 2. Can I see it? No. Change the discipline to structural. Where's my level 2? It's not showing up. Okay, anyway, so I'll just create another wall here. So I'll create a structural wall. There you go. So go to the top. Okay, and then just simple one. There you go. Okay, so maybe I'll just drag this up. Okay. Line it up here. I'll just remove this one. All right, so let's say this is now the changes on my structure. So I'm going to save this, and then let's see what will happen if we export that and publish again to Revizto. So let's publish, and there you go. So it's updating, and that is still lining up with the architecture. So like what I've said, so do not move anymore your structure because it's already lined up. Okay, so it's already lined up. So you just need to update your model here, update, and then after that, publish to Revizto. And you don't need to worry that your structure will be out of alignment. Okay, because you already align it here manually. All right. Okay, so what will happen if we are going to move it? So let's say the architecture. So where's my architecture? So here's my architecture. So I'm going to select all of the walls. So maybe I'll move it here. Okay, and then I'm going to publish this. Let's save it first and then publish. Publish. And it will mess up your model again. It's not lining up. There you go. Right? So what are you going to do now? So you just need to align it again. So let's measure quickly. Click the measure. Okay, so click this face here. Double click. Double click. And then drag that. All right, so what's that? So 9875. Okay, so this one is along an y-axis. Okay, and it's going to this direction, right? Going to this direction here. So it's negative. So that is minus 9875. All right. So we need to move the structure. Okay. So let's right click the structure, transform. Okay. So that is along y-axis, right? Okay. So what we are going to do, I'm going to use the calculator. Okay. So here's my calculator. So that is what? Minus 32937 minus 9875. Okay, equals, all right, so this should be the value. So 42812. Okay, so 42812, and then okay, there you go. Right, so don't be confused with the direction. Okay, right, and then we want this face to be lining up here. Same procedure. So let's click the ruler using the point to point. So double click this face, and then you double click this face here. All right, and then you move this like that. Okay, it should be on that face. There you go. Okay, so what's the distance? Okay, so 13358. All right, so where's that? Okay, so we want to move this here to this direction. You see the X, so that's the X. So again, positive is going to that direction, but this one is going down here. So it's negative. Okay, so negative 13358. So let me put it here on my note. So minus 13358. Okay, let's close this. Let's right click the structure, transform. All right, so this one. Okay, so 393. So 393 minus 13358, and then equals, all right, so 12965. Okay, so let's change this to minus 12965, and then okay, and there you go. Right? So you don't need to worry even if your link model or other model from other discipline is not lining up in Revizto, because we can easily use transform scene. Okay? Right? All right. So hopefully you learned something from this video. So I can find a useful explanation in Revizto website or knowledge-based YouTube channel. So that's why I created this simple model. Okay, so hopefully you learned something from this video. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.